Let's go.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the return episode of Capitol Ballroom Council. Dante, what's going on? How you been, co-host?
What's going on? I've been well. Can't complain. You're talking as if we weren't just in a meeting. What was that last night?
People in the world don't know this.
Last night, but since then I've been well. And yourself?
I have been great. I want to take a moment to tell everybody some of the things that we've done since we've been on break. Because actually, we did a lot, right? Since we've been on break, we've had our first in-person mixer, which was great.
Had our first mini ball.
Yep, which was amazing. It was so packed.
Oh my gosh, it was so nostalgic of like ballroom in DC. It was crazy.
Yes. Thank you to everyone that came out to support both those events. And we also became incorporated as an organization, an incorporated nonprofit in Washington, D.C. The Capitol Ballroom Council is an official nonprofit in Washington, D.C. So without further ado, I'm really excited about this discussion tonight. I don't want to waste too much time. I want to get right into it. And start introducing our folks. I just want to let everyone know that this is going to be an interactive conversation. So if you have any questions, comments you want to say to any one of our panelists, acting on our panelists, just tap it in your in the chat option. We're streaming on Facebook and a number of platforms: the Capitol Ballroom Council, La Maison, Center for Black Equity, my personal page, and I'm sorry.
We got House Size Night on there too, I believe too.
Yes, House Lives Matter. As well as we're on YouTube for the same ones: Capitol Ballroom Council, Center for Black Equity, and adding someone else right now to the stream because I didn't know ahead, but it's all good. All right, so without further ado, let's start introducing our panelists. You may see me dip off really quickly, just to do some technical stuff on the back end for a second, but I'm going to introduce everyone. You can talk to everybody and we can get it going.
All right, let's get it going. Also, make sure y'all are sharing this live for us. Please share this to your page, your house groups, your friends, to other groups that you're in. Share it to everybody. Let's really, show up and show out for the people who have served and are serving our country.
Absolutely. All right. So first welcome, Blair West. Welcome, Blair. Welcome. Next, we have the one and only Dr. Tatyana Moulton.
Icon. Mother Chanel. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you, Kenya and Dante. Why do I always want to say Duante?
It's the way it's spelled.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here this evening.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Next up is the legend, Dabrian Balenciaga.
What's going on?
Hey,
Schoolboy.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for having me.
Old way extraordinaire.
He's old school too.
I'm a little bit old school
now. We have another legend, Mr. J Rock Ebony.
What's good, J Rock? What's going on?
What up? What's going on, y'all?
Hey, how are you?
Welcome.
All right, and last but not least, Mr. Rio Garçon.
How y'all doing?
What's up, Rio?
Not much.
Welcome. We're getting some comments already. Up.
Oh.
I already know who that is.
That's my auntie.
Once I said the last name, I knew who.
She's also a veteran too. So happy Veterans Day, and Sherry.
Happy Veterans Day
to you too.
Veterans Day. Thank you for your service. All right. So Dante, you want to warm everybody up? Talk for a little bit while I work on this technical thing in the back end.
Sure. So, I'm going to warm you up with the first question, or just talk.
I'll give you the first question.
All right, so it'll be like a two-parter. So if you want to just say a little bit about yourself, as in like just a little bit about your ballroom journey, and then also let us know which branch of the military you've served in. And it looks like on my screen I have Blair beside me, so we'll just start there.
Okay, hi everybody. I'm Blair West. I've been in ballroom for 10 years now. I'm active duty military. I'm still in right now. I've been in the military for 8 years. And I'm in the Army, and I walk. Well, you want to talk about that now, or talk about we walk later?
Your category, you can say what you walk now.
Okay, well I walk body and sex sign.
All right. Thanks again for being here. J Rock, you want to go next?
My name is Cedric Johnson, J Rock Ebony. I've been in the military I just retired from the military on October 31st. With 21 years in. I was going to go for 30, but I couldn't do the politics. I've been in ballroom since 2008. The branch that I am in is the United States Navy. Ballroom since 2008. Categories I walk. Well, my first category is Bush Queen European Runway.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know that. Gag. But then I switched over into the realness categories. I switched over to executive realness, everyday realness, thug realness, commentator versus commentator realness with a twist. And pretty much that's it. Oh, and down here we have a category called Shake That Ass, and I'm the most winning Shake That Ass here. But, I grew out of that.
You messed up my order again.
Oh, did I?
So next up, Rio.
Hi everybody. My name is Rio Garçon, Demario. I've been in ballroom since 2009. I walked Bush Queen Vogue Femme. I've been in the Navy for I just hit 13 years this year. I'm praying to make it a 20, but it's a stretch. It's getting hard. It's very political, but we'll see how it goes.
So I guess it's me. I joined. Wait, I was in the Air Force, and I joined right out of high school, and I served 5 years in the Air Force active duty, and I did 4 years in the reserves, and I joined the ballroom scene. It'll be 18 years. It'll be 18 years in January that I've been a part of the ballroom scene, and I'm legendary old way.
Last but not least.
Okay. Hi everyone. Queen Mother Tati Chanel. I was in the Army for 8 years, served honorably as an intelligence officer, discharged in 2003. I went in you were just saying, right out of high school. I went in under the split option, and so that was in 95. Immediately went to college to start to pursue my degree, but still was serving and went through ROTC route. But yeah, that's me. I'm here. And I'm sorry, Femme Queen Face, and have been in ballroom for 22 years now. Yes.
That's awesome.
Thank y'all.
Yes. Is everybody?
That's everybody.
All right. So one of the things we do with our shows is we really get questions from our viewers, from our audience, from people that just have questions they want to go. So one of the questions that came up was, what are your thoughts on don't ask, don't tell?
I'll answer real quick. I don't think that it's a thing anymore. Of course, I haven't been in the Air Force in a while, but when I was in, I had a problem with it. You're forced to kind of be live a DL life if you want to experience anything, in regards to who you really are. And so don't ask, don't tell for us was very complicated because I was just coming into my own and really trying to understand who I was as a person. And so I would split my time in half. Like I'd hang with my straight friends and on base and do things with all my straight friends, and then I would immediately switch off, you know, on like a Saturday or something and go to the gay clubs with my gay friends, and you know, never really mixed the two. So I lived like a double life that I felt like I was kind of forced to live. I really, you know, if I had a choice, I probably wouldn't have lived that way, but I had to, or else it was like my livelihood. I was going to get kicked out. And I was even threatened once. I got into a really serious argument with a female friend who happened to be lesbian, and she got really angry with me and threatened to out me once. And back then, if they found out you were gay, you know, they would investigate you and they would kick you out. And that's how it was for us. But I you know, fortunately never ran into anything like that. But it was tough. But I hear now it's nothing like that. So that's my take on it.
So I'll go. Don't Ask, Don't Tell was really, really rough. I remember when I joined the Navy, one of my mentors to this day, she actually just retired this year, but she pretty much told me, she kind of knew she was a lesbian. And she kind of told me, she was like, listen, when you hanging out, do not give your real name. So it kind of forced me to develop this Rio character and develop anything that I could protect my identity. That way, if someone wanted to out me, oh, I've seen Rio at a club. Well, who is that? We don't have nobody here by the name of Rio. I actually remember in 2013 when it was repealed, and it was just like a relief because at the moment I could be honest. Like, okay, if I wanted to go walk a ball at the Paradox, I could talk about that at work versus what are you doing this weekend? Oh, I'm probably gonna go uvu my mom, or lying, like knowing that this is not what I'm gonna do. So it kind of really forced you to live, like Dabrian said, a secret life or DL life. For me, when I joined, it was five of us, five guys. We met in A school and we call each other the Fab Five. And I watched each like four of those get slowly processed out. Boom, 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 because of allegations, or we seen you with a picture with a guy. We heard you was kissing someone, or we heard that you was hanging out at in cahoots or whatever it was at that time, and I'm the only one standing. So it was rough. It was really, really rough.
I'll say for me, because I enlisted in '95, so that was the year that President Clinton had actually enacted Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And so it was going through MEPS, or the Military Entrance Processing Station. It was still a question that was on the questionnaire: are you homosexual? And being a trans woman, I started transitioning like fully, or well, medically, I should say, at the age of 19. I enlisted when I was 17. So when I immediately came home and started going back to college. So I would go for the weekend drills to my assigned unit. And when you're beginning your transition, you kind of take these androgynous you go through this whole stage of androgyny. Like, what's going on here? The best part about being in the military is that I did not have to explain having a clean shaven face. So that was the plus. Mm-hmm. But the unit that I was in, interesting enough, I guess that I had built kind of close personal relationships. It was more officers and some NCO staff, but they would kind of look like something was going on, but it was just one of those weird times. And the interesting thing about that, like I said, with my job classification, is that we lost a lot of intelligence analysts and officers because of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And when you think about the job classification, this is a critical role, because these are the people who are getting all of these reports of troop movements and units and, arms and all these other things in other countries, and even overseeing, other officers who are kind of deployed abroad. And so when you think about that, even linguists, people, speaking those different languages, that we were losing at high rates. And so the impact of that, and just, all of the other stuff that came out even last year when we were talking about trans service members, about unit cohesion, none of those things were affected. All of us are evidence that we have always served, under Don't Ask, Don't Tell, in lieu of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. So the interesting paradox is that all of the arguments that were kind of presented at the time by some of our conservative colleagues and peers have been dispelled. And the reality of it is that even when the conversation was going about trans service members, I served a full 8 years and have my DD 214. So where was the effect on unit cohesion? Nobody, only thing that we cared about when we're out there in another country is that my person has my six. My battle buddy has my back. That's it. I don't care who you screwing, what you doing, none of that other stuff. When we're out here, as long as you have my back, that can come in white, black, gay, straight, whatever, because at the end of the day, when we're in these other countries, all they see is green. And that red, white, and blue is what identifies us and makes us the enemy. And so all of that other stuff that they kind of talked about. So it was just interesting. It was an interesting experience, and even hearing the, cross-generational conversations about what that looks like from people who are just now, even still actively on active duty. Yeah.
I'll speak because I'm still active, and I came in 2013. So don't ask, don't tell wasn't a thing for me. That was one of the reasons I never wanted to do the military originally. And I also work in the Intel committee, so don't ask, don't tell didn't apply to me in that sense. But as you just mentioned it, so I have a top secret security clearance, and when I have to go through a polygraph test, so one of the questions is, have you ever lied in your life, for a significant reason? And again, I'm out to my family, my unit, everybody knows about me, but it's to gauge your truthfulness in general. And I told him, I'm like, I'm gay, so I lied about, my lifestyle to my family and friends for years, so that even that affects it, where it's not necessarily don't ask, don't tell, but it does affect my job role and me getting and keeping my clearance. And that was a major thing, because he was like, well, you're about to fail. I'm like, I'm telling you, yes, I mean, technically, yes, I have lied. So it was hard. I actually had to go and do my polygraph twice. And I was in the chair strapped up to my lie detector test for, I think in total, 6.5, 7 hours.
Wow.
See, it's even implications like that. We ask our service members to adhere to an honor code, but then you're asking the person to kind of go through those things. And I completely forgot about that whole process, security clearance. And, but here it is that I'm having to hide or be deceptive about a part of my identity or who I am and who I love. And it's just crazy.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, I know with me coming in under Don't Ask, Don't Tell, because I came in 2000, and then being there when it got repelled and everything, I just always stuck with the same thing. The people I work with, I don't hang with after work. You cannot come over my house. I don't do nothing with y'all after work. I already don't drink. I don't do none of that already. So we're not going out for drinks. We're not doing none of that. But I will wake up in the middle of the night if you're drunk or something like that, because that's a big thing in the Navy. If your ship may call you drunk and you leave them out there, you're in trouble. But other than that, I didn't hang out with nobody. I didn't want nobody over my house. I didn't want them to see who I was talking to. It was hard to go to work and be regular, and everybody's talking about their wives and their girlfriends and stuff. Because, when you're at work with your shipmates, you vent at work. You know what I'm saying? You talk. You just have regular work talk. What happened at home? All this kind of stuff. So I was with someone for 11 years, and their last name is Shannon. So I just used to always say Shannon. Shannon did this. Shannon did that. Shannon did. And the whole time, these people just thought Shannon was a girl, but Shannon is really a boy. You know what I'm saying? Calvin Shannon. So it's like, that was like really hard. That was the only hard thing. But other than that, a lot of people, I used to read stuff everything that would possibly get me in trouble, I would thoroughly read through the entire thing. And it really was called Don't Ask, Don't Tell, Don't Harass. A lot of people forget about the don't harass part. So my thing was, I had already prepped and set myself up because, I'm a queen and everything. Bitch, if you start fucking with me on that don't ask, don't tell stuff, I'm going to get you for harassment, because it's don't ask, don't tell, don't harass. So if you possibly think that I'm gay and you start harassing me about it, I'm going to go get you kicked out before I get kicked out. So I just leave all that stuff alone. You know what I'm saying? So then when it got repelled, I still didn't let nobody in my personal business, because I was scared that politics was going to overturn it. Now you didn't came out, and I seen friends that got kicked out. No, not me.
What's interesting is, as you was telling that story, I was thinking about, there was a time when I was stationed in Japan that there was a young man, I can't remember his name, but he was, he was more on the effeminate side. And I remember the unit that he worked in used to bully him a lot. And I remember a time where he was like, telling us, because we used to all hang out like low key, and he was telling us, I'm gonna get kicked out tomorrow. I want to get kicked. I want to leave. Like, this is stressing me out. And he showed up to his unit the next morning for a commander's call, and I think he was like half dragged, like he had like his nails done, and his face was beat and all these things. And I remember his commander was just like, okay, we hear you. You're not gay. Whatever. Get back in line or whatever. But it was like, we're not kicking you out. We get what you're trying to do, but you're not going anywhere. And they kept him in, just to bully him. And he stayed in that unit, I think, until he PCS'd out. But I remember them just really bullying him and him going through the motions. And for us, on opposite end of the spectrum, to speak up against this or to have his back was like, okay, then they would start questioning us. And then they would it was the threat that, that you would have the unit. I can't remember the name of the unit, but it was a unit that would do investigations and that, you could be put in the line of fire. So it was one of those weird things that, looking back on it, is so archaic, but it was happening and I was there to witness it.
But that's funny that he said that, y'all, because that's why I said I didn't hang out with people to include if I knew you were gay. Like, we all got gaydar. We know who is the queens in the unit. You see what I'm saying? I don't care if you clock my T or not and I clock your T. You can't hang out with me because the day that you decide that you want to come out, I don't want you to say, oh, and Johnson was there too. No, Johnson went nowhere. No, I like being in the Navy. I'm not getting none of that. So I didn't even hang out with the people that I knew that was gay. Like, I hung out with just the people in the neighborhood. I made friends in the local towns and the communities that I lived in. You know what I'm saying? So, because I didn't want to get caught up.
Wow.
You had to hang out like with your gay friends. You had to hang out like low key or like in a dorm room and not be seen coming out of the dorm room. It was so. Yeah, it was crazy. Or out
we know all the duck
somewhere.
We know all the duck offs. No shade. Well, maybe y'all don't, but I know a duck off everywhere. I know how to go behind. I could be with my shipmates. We could be hanging out. Then all of a sudden, y'all know how Charles Key say lost? When he made up lost, I said, oh, bitch, I know about getting lost because I'll just go. And then when I come back, they'll be like, what are you saying? What you talking about?
I mean, it was your career,
Yeah, and hearing these stories is so weird because to me, I feel like men had it worse than women. It was easy for a female to be a stud. She can cut her hair off and wear a low cut. She could be as masculine as she wanted to be, and nobody said nothing. But the moment I get my eyebrows shaped up, or the moment I beat my face or anything like that, now I'm the target. Like, oh, he's gay. What about her? So it's just one of the things where it felt like men had it harder than women. And it was just unfair.
Wow. Thank you all for that. That was some really good insight into that.
Yeah. All right. Ready for the next question, Dante?
Yeah. All right. Were any of you actively involved? And I know you just touched on it a little bit, J-Rock. Were any of you actively involved in a relationship while in the military? And I guess if so, how did that go?
I'll go. My very first relationship, my very first boyfriend, I just joined the Navy and it was just a secret. It was just kind of like, I remember I had went to a command function and I was like, this is my brother, Warren. And everybody was like, oh, you want to bring, I don't have a wife, so this is my brother. Whole time this is my boyfriend. And then I remember when it got repealed, I actually got married, not to Warren. I was actually with my ex-husband. And the military just kind of complicated relationships. We'll get there because I'm sure that's another question. But I was actively in a relationship, and I count those two the most in the military because they was the most impactful to me during my career.
I only had that one at that time. Well, because sometimes I'd be forgetting that I was out on the ship in the fleet because I went over to be a permanent. I crossed over to the dark side and became a career recruiter. But like I said, when I swear for God, I went to New Orleans to find me a holy woman to settle down, have some kids. Y'all see where I said I went to New Orleans. To settle down, get my life right, because I was raised in church and stuff, and I already knew I was gay. We didn't get on this subject. And I met Calvin Shannon, and then when I met Calvin Shannon, when I seen him, and then we ended up falling in love, and then I was with him for 11 years, and it was like I said, it was hard because sometimes you have these shipmates and that double life. The reason why that double life is so hard is because when you're in the Navy, you really make family. Like, you really become family with some of these people. And then, their wives, you know their kids because of the command functions, and if they need you, you're there for them and everything. But you can't be 100 with them. And then you say to yourself, this person really knew I was gay. Would they even be talking to me? But you don't never want to get that conversation. Would they even be around me or anything like that? Would they even accept Shannon if they came around? You know, I almost had one incident in New Orleans, one incident. And that's when Calvin worked on the base. I got Calvin a job at the Navy Lodge. And he left his ID. And he was trying to come on base, and he kept saying, I work at the Navy Lodge. And the person on the gate, see, Calvin, if y'all ever met him, is don't give rat's ass. He is out. He's New Orleans out, right? So the people on the gate was harassing him, the DOD officers. And I saw it. And I had came to this thing to where, how are you going to do this without them being like, why are you so upset about it? And that's when I went out and I said, I know this, I know him. And it really hurt. Like, he was down with it. He was down with protecting my image, but it hurt my feelings so fucking bad that I could not be a man and man enough to say, leave my fucking dude alone. I had to make up that I knew him and I can vouch for him because I seen him working at the Navy Lodge type shit. And even though he was cool with it, that fucking did something to me because I'm really a real man when it comes to a relationship and a protector and stuff like that. And I'm like, it almost made me kind of like, so the Navy is more important than the person you love. It was a lot. So.
I'll speak next. So I started my relationship with my sergeant. I didn't know he was gay or bi or whatever he claims now, but I didn't know. So we became friends, like J Rock was saying. Like I had a group of friends where they knew I was gay, but we had like a lesbian group, we had a straight female group, we had a straight male in the group. We had him. I thought he was a straight male. So Halloween, which is one of my favorite holidays by far, we had all planned on what we were going to do. And actually, Dante, it was at the AGA party. We all ended up going to the AGA party in 2016, and we like didn't have anything else to do. And they were like, I was like, come on, like I'm laying down now. This is a house event. This is it's going to be gay, but it's going to be fun. So everybody was like, all right, cool. That's when he came out to me, like literally at the party. That and so we started talking from that point on. But it was not easy because not only was he my sergeant, of course he's in my unit, and then he was also DL. It was just a lot. Like I felt like I was forced back into the closet. And like I said, my unit was they all knew I was gay and they were cool with it. Like I had, plenty of friends. A lot of my colleagues respected me more because they told me like, hey, you're out, you're proud. We fucks with you. But with dating him, like I said, it was almost like I went back into the closet because it was on the secret and he wasn't out, so it was certain things I couldn't do, so it was an experience. He met my parents. I didn't, and that's the thing, because he was DL, I didn't meet any of his side of the family or his friends to that extent. Like, it was just an awkward situation. And then, we also had to keep our day-to-day military lifestyle by the books as well.
For me, my first relationship was with my superior. He was my staff sergeant. And when I first got to the base, I guess he's seen something in me. I still, you go through that phase, you're confused, you don't really know. You kind of feel like you're, for me, I kind of felt like, okay, maybe I'm gay, but I don't really know. I've been with girls. Like, I was confused. And I think he picked up on that. And so, he had a dinner one time, and I'm just breaking it down real quick how we met, or how we got involved. He had a dinner one time, and he told me that he invited the whole unit. When I got to his house, it was just me. And, one thing led to another, and, we end up messing around and everything. And then he kind of he was a lot older than me, and he kind of coached me through it. I was like 19, 20 at the time. And he would tell me things like, men aren't they don't call each other boyfriends. They're not. It's not a relationship. We just do what we want. But you are with me and I'm with you. And I'm young and I'm impressionable. I don't know. I've never been in a relationship with a man before, so I was, and he was my staff sergeant. So that was my first, version of a relationship, and we were together for 2 or 3 years, and whatever that looked like. And I later found out when he got stationed at another base that he would run game on new people that were coming to the base that were young. And that was just another thing that he did, and he had many boyfriends on the base. So but in my mind, that was my dude. And it, like I said, it lasted 2 years. He worked me.
Damn.
He worked you.
But he was my my staff sergeant. He was in charge of our unit. And like I said, I was 19. I thought that when he told me men are not supposed to be in relationships and we're already in this don't ask, don't tell environment, I'm listening to him because he's my superior.
Wow.
Oh. Rio,
you know what?
Rio,
I can laugh about it. I can laugh about it now.
No, it's just that that Rio know why I feel the way I do when it comes to shit like that because of who I am in the Navy. I would have had his ass.
Baby.
Yeah. And he told people. He told this lesbian girl that we were stationed with that he had me, and so she came to me and she was like, "Oh, I didn't know. So you gay? Like, it's okay. We family." And I was like, "What? How'd you know that?" She was like, "Yeah." She was like, he does that to everybody." And I was like, "What?"
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were worked.
Yeah. I want to take a second and circle back around to Rio. Rio said the military makes relationships harder. Take a second, just talk about it a little bit more.
Yes. One, we move around a lot. And I think everybody that's in the military, everybody who has been in the military, they're kind of used to it. Versus when, for me, I don't really go for military guys because I just don't believe it's too close to comfort for me. So I prefer civilians who don't know what the military life is. So for them, it's they don't understand that, okay, I'm here for 3 years and now I got a PCS to God knows wherever. And especially when you're dealing with ship life is completely different. People don't understand, like, that operational platform is it's mission first. So if I can go to work right now with the expectation that I'm leaving work at 4 o'clock. I might not leave work until 11 o'clock. And just the moving around piece, the not understanding like how the mission work, that's a lot for guys to really deal with for me. And it's a lot of people too that I've come across that they don't want to move. Like, this is home for them. This is where they have established. So now I'm asking you to PCS with me and basically uproot and restart your life. And a lot of individuals don't want to do that. So we run into that, like, okay, if you got a person who is okay with moving around, hey, listen, marry them right now. But for the most part, you run into people that I don't want to go nowhere. I want to stay here. I don't want to leave my job that I've worked at 8 years just to come and, build a life here, not knowing that, this could end, I don't know, in a week or in next year. So for me, that's my take on that.
Okay.
You know what, Rio? That's why I said it was kind of different for me, because that's why I was able, because everybody be like, 11 years, how the, gay period, 11 years. There's like 11 years. That was one thing I can't say about Calvin. He did not care if we moved. Like, if I moved, my thing is, if I'm in love with you, you have no choice. If I go, you go. So we going. So if we in love, you going. And I always felt like this on the 1st and the 15th, regardless, I'm gonna get paid. So you can get another job. So I was always like that. So that's why I always say I'm gonna kill the woman. But anyways, when I moved, but this is the thing that it's just so weird you said that, because I've even told him this. Even though we separated because if y'all met him, y'all be like, damn, y'all like really good friends. Yes, we are really good friends. But even though we separated for some reasons other than that, I have had the hardest fucking time finding somebody that's like that. That whatever you say that the military gonna do, that's what we gonna do. Never no argument. Never know. As a matter of fact, I don't care. I don't even want to know about it. What, you gotta go? You gotta stay late? What? You a chief? They called you about something at 2:00 in the morning. Bye. It was like it was easy. But then you get with somebody else, they like, who calling you at 2 a.m.? Bitch, I'm a chief. And sometimes you do not, and you, Rio, you know how it is.
Yes.
I'm not just to explain what I do as a chief to no damn civilian when I have a sailor out there that needs me right the fuck now.
Yeah.
But you know, a queen gonna be like, bitch, I asked you a question. And then
I'm coming with you.
I'm coming with you. I'm tracking your iPhone. And so it was really hard to just find somebody to understand that it's not that I'm putting the Navy before you, but as somebody, as a leader, not even just a chief, if you are a good leader in the military, sometimes you have to go when it's time to go, depending on the people that work for you. You got to go. And some people, they don't understand that. They just be like, nah, don't nobody get up at this time. You know what? It's over. Done. I don't need you. I'm trying to get 21 years.
J Rock,
Also-
I didn't mean to trigger you.
Yeah.
Also, I would say in each branch, I just can only speak for Army because that's what I'm in. Each job role is so different. Like my experiences in the military intelligence community, I work at NSA, compared to somebody who is on the front line or who has been deployed, like the jobs are so different. So like I've heard about people again having to get up at 2 a.m. That's not me, but again, but I know about it, so I understand what you're saying, Jay. Like if something was to happen like that, I'm like, I get it. But again, a lot of people don't understand that because there's other job roles I don't even understand, like or even know what they really do. And again, in military intelligence community, we can't really say what we do to a certain extent because we'll get, have lie detector tests about it. So it's hard to like what are you doing today? I can't say. Like sometimes I cannot say. And yeah, you're juggling. You're literally juggling like your work and you're trying to incorporate your romance into it. It's really not that easy.
But I think
That was another thing I was gonna say. Oh no, go ahead.
But
I was gonna say
piggyback on
that's
Jay.
another because even in the intelligence community, it's frowned upon to like start families and relationships. It's like it's an unwritten rule. Like you just don't even go there.
Wow.
And I tell people when you're a leader, your sailors' problems are your problems. And I get hit with the craziest things. I don't have kids, but most of my sailors have children. And I get the call at 5 a.m. Hey, my babysitter just canceled on me. Or you never know when your phone ring, especially I tell people if my phone ring right now before 6 a.m., something is wrong. Nothing good is going to come of that. And to have a partner, like, we get into that mindset, well, who's calling you at 6 a.m.? Why? Or I have to get up and put my uniform on. I'm not going to cheat. I'm going to work. I have to figure out how I can help my sailor who has a child. Basically, this is my child right now. How can I get childcare for my child? Because this is my sailor's child. And people don't really process that part. Yeah. It's crazy.
Wow. All right. So before we go to commercial break, I want to squeeze in one more question. Were any of you ever actively involved in active combat?
I'll say this about that. I was in a medical unit, and so I would go to Kuwait. I was in Kuwait a few times and Saudi Arabia, and we were supporting the mission, is what they called it. And so for me, because I was a flight medic, we would basically, my job during the war was to transport wounded and the dead from one location to the next. And we were basically transporting them to either a better hospital or to a base that had like a morgue to accommodate whatever those needs were. So I was close to the war. I would, the base that I was stationed at, we would see, because I'm Air Force, we would see the jets take off fully loaded with all the missiles and everything. And then by midday, they were coming back to reload. All the missiles were gone. You knew that they were dropping them somewhere. You could hear like the faint, boom, boom, all the way miles away from where we were. So I never experienced direct combat, but I experienced the result of direct combat by, transporting the dead and transporting like wounded soldiers.
I haven't actually experienced active combat. I think 2020 we came close. I was deployed all of 2020. Um, and it's weird because when you're on a ship, it's different. You know, when you're on a ship, we're not the only ships in the sea. So you have other countries. I'm trying to like make sure I be politically correct when I say this, but you have other countries that are in the ocean with you. So there are laws of the ocean, there's laws of the water to where you can only come within a certain distance of each other. And once you cross that barrier, now we have to kind of let you know, okay, mama, you a little too close, mama, and you do that by shooting. And last year that was my first time really experiencing that because there was a certain country that they don't care. They started doing all types of stuff, jamming radars. And at this point, I think that was my first moment where it was like, oh my God, this could be it. Like this, and especially when you hear like words like, certain conditions for your weapons. When you hear that come over to 1MC, it's kind of like, okay, Ma, I love you. I'll be back, and it just makes you really like, oh my God, like God, I just hope that this don't go that way. And 2020 was my very first time coming close to that, because it was just like, I even told my close friends, like, I didn't think that I was gonna make it, because it was just like, they were on some, no country want to fire first. That's one thing that a lot of people don't know. No country want to be the one to fire first, because at that point you initiated war. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna poke at you, and I'm gonna poke at you, and I'm gonna poke at you, so that you shoot at me, because now I can say you started the war. And that's kind of what was happening to us last year.
Now, as for me, I just thought, when I looked into the military branches and everything, I just thought that I would probably never be at no type of wartime situation, due to the fact we are in the United States Navy. And like he said, once you cross a certain line, that's your ass. So we can see you 1,000 miles before you can get there. So don't try it. You know what I'm saying? Then we got a sub community. You can't shoot what you don't see. So it's like, I always felt protected. But again, I came in 2000. I would say what scared the shit out of me was 9/11. 9/11 had scared the shit out of me, because I distinctly remember that day coming up out the engine room, because I used to be an electrical engineer first. I came up out the engine room and I went to the mess decks. When I went to the mess decks, everybody was sitting on the mess decks, and I'm sitting up there like, why ain't nobody turning to? Why is nobody working? What's going on? Are we looking at a movie in the middle of the day? I thought they was looking at a movie. And they said, no, the plane crashed into the World Trade Center. So I was like, oh my God, like for real? And so at that point, everybody just thought that the plane had crashed, right? That it was a mistake. And I will never forget the feeling of sitting on that mess deck and watching CNN and watching the news, and then seeing that other plane. When that other plane hit that tower, it got like, you could hear a pin drop on the mess decks, because we knew at that moment that it was supposed to be some shit. And then all of a sudden you heard set threat condition Delta. Delta means we can't go home. That means lift everything up, ships get underway. So I'm sitting up there like, oh my God, I need to call my grandmama. I got to call my pastor. I got to call everything. I was scared, but I was winning. You see what I'm saying? And then once it kind of like died down and stuff, and we was going into that war on terrorism, I do remember the second time I got scared is when they called us back. They set Papa. They put that Papa flag up for everybody to come back and recall, because President Bush dropped bombs over Baghdad. And so we had to rush back to the ship because we thought it was again. So then after that, I was like, we ain't gonna never go to war. But the reason I have PTSD is because I never thought in a million years that war would be right here on American soil. And that was Hurricane Katrina. When I was there before, during, and after, and in the military, when it's time to help, and I know they can all attest to this, when it's time to help, you just go. You just go. You just constantly going, because you're helping. We have a heart of public service to help people. But when it stopped after that 45 days and 45 nights and that digression, and you realize that you had to separate dead bodies from the bodies that was already dead, going into them homes after the water decreased, spraying on there to see if it's a dead cat, a dead body, separating a baby from their mother that had been drowned under the water, rigor mortis setting it. It was crazy, to the point to where I thought nothing was wrong with me. But every time it thunderstorms, every time it lightens, thunderstorms or rain real hard, I smell mildew, bleach, because we always had to clean with mildew and bleach. And clean with bleach water to prevent mildew. I smell that, and if I see flooding, I'm going to see something in the water, but there's nothing there. So that was on American soil. So it wasn't like war, but it was really hard. It was like a wartime situation to us because we are supply support and we also humanitarian services for the United States of America. So when everybody is when an earthquake come and a tsunami come and the Navy can get there. But we have to when it's time for digression, you realize that trauma that you went through when them levees broke and people dying and you hearing the last words of somebody over the phone because they couldn't get out the roof and stuff. So that was really hard for me. And that's why at first I was just dealing with it my own way. But then when I got out, I just made sure I said, you know what? Can I get some counseling since I'm going to get these medical benefits for the rest of my life? Because I'm going to need it.
9/11 was nothing nice, boy. And I remember, if y'all remember, for the people who served during that time, I knew something was going down when they bombed the USS Cole. And I remember when they bombed that ship, I remember we went into but it was our level of threat went up a little higher. And I remember then telling my staff sergeant, like, I don't know, I'm getting a little scared. And he was like, well, you joined to save people's lives. You joined for your country. And I remember saying, well, no, I joined to go to college. And he was like, think about that. And I just remember just sitting in my thoughts, like this is the moment. Like, I joined at a time where we haven't seen like real serious war since the early 90s and even before that, and like Kosovo and stuff. So I just never thought that I would actually be serving in a war. As crazy as it sounds, because we're joining the military, right, to fight for your country, I never thought that I would be actually fighting for my country.
But you brought up a good point. People join for different reasons, like totally different reasons. I haven't seen active combat when I signed up for the military. I did my research. Working in military intelligence, I'm non-deployable, so they can't. I won't see that, and I am appreciative of it. But that was literally because originally when I went to sign up at MEPS, I was going to be a cavalry scout, which is frontline, and it was a black lady there named Peaches. She was like, baby, this ain't for you. She was like, you score way too high. She's like, they're trying to screw you over. You score way too high. She was like, renegotiate your contract. Don't do this. And I went back and I looked and I did my research on the different jobs in the military because, again, like in the Army alone, it's so many different jobs. So across all the different branches, it's literally a plethora of jobs. So I really did my research, and that's why I went to military intelligence. Like, won't be deployed. So yeah, like I've never done it, and I probably, God willing, will not.
I can't really get into the specifics of which campaigns. I'm still under NDA, so I was in from 95 to 2003. If that makes sense to everybody that's on here, and it's something. And the funniest thing about it is that when I went into MEPS, I went in with the mindset like you were saying, is that I am choosing all the jobs that are not going to take me onto the front lines. But like you're saying, J-Rock, the interesting thing that changed with 9/11 for most of us in the military is that the front lines no longer was identifiable. Where are the front lines? And so, that became a challenge. But, and I can remember even like, everybody says like, you will remember the day where you were and what you were doing on 9/11. And I called up my command to find out, because they were saying on the news, people were being activated. This was the last couple years of my contract. I'm individual ready reserve. Like, please don't ever call me. This is literally what I told these people. Like, don't ever call me. Don't ever call me. And so I called, and they were like, well, you're gonna have to call them. Yeah, they're like, you're gonna have to call to my command, because would they have you unassigned? You're gonna have to call to St. Louis. And I called to St. Louis. And I called, and she was like, well, we don't have you assigned. Would you like to be assigned? I said, no. I'm a full woman at this point. It's like, girl, I hung the phone up on her. Like, I don't even have, and I'm sorry, like, my call to help and service was there, but it was just like after that time, I was ready to cycle out. I had fully made my decision, like, this is it. And they were recalling people, and I'm seeing it happen. And it was just like, no, and this is still under Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And so it's just like, I'm not subjecting myself to that. I'm full on in community. I'm doing all the things that I'm doing. And I'm like, girl, they can have all that. But the important thing too, I want to, because I don't want to miss this, to people who are interested in joining or enlisting, please understand that this is a business contract that you're entering into, and you have the ability to negotiate. Do not take that first job classification or whatever these recruiters are, because that happened. Like, I really wanted to be a medic, and I was discouraged from that because I was undersplit option. Like, no, you won't have time because you have to go back to school. And I'm just like, my scores are there, and so they kind of discouraged me from it. But it ended up working and winning for me in the end because I went into intelligence. But it was like one of those things, like, because they had offered me, I think my initial job classification was 75 Bravo, which is administrative personnel specialist, paper pushing. It was just like, oh, what are y'all doing? But I knew I was going to OCS school, so they were just like, you got to just choose something. So, but yeah.
And I tell people, just to piggyback on that, Tati, is also research your branch, because like I tell people, like in the Navy, I'm gonna tell you like this. I do pay. I'm the finance guy. But on a ship, if we something happened, baby, we're all fighting. Like, I don't care what your job is, baby, you're gonna pick this gun up, because at that point it's either a matter of life or death. So I tell people, even when I was a Navy recruiter, one of my sales pitches was, look at the branches and look at which one does what. I joined the Navy because, listen, if the Navy comes in, at that point, baby, we're like, the world is on fire at this point. If the Navy has to pull in to shoot, baby, y'all, the Marines that came, the Air Force that came, the Army, the Coast Guard, everybody. We the last one, and that was my sales pitch when I was in recruitment.
You're a soldier first, like they say. We're soldier first, then your job classification second.
And what he means by that is, you know how they say every soldier is supposed to know how to shoot because every soldier should be a marksman and stuff. Every person on that ship is a firefighter, because we cannot call 911 to put out no fire. So if you intelligence, if you a cook, if you whatever, if the fire breaks out, you get your ass on the hose and you put that fire out. And sometimes it might be a crankcase explosion, it could be a gas fire, it could be whatever. But because of basic training, sailors are no longer scared of fire because we understand the fire triangle and what puts it out. So a sailor, when something is like, if something catch on fire in this office, I know it's an alpha, I know what to do, I'm gonna go get it. You see what I'm saying? But before the military, I'm running, I'm getting it.
Go ahead.
Can you want to go ahead?
Oh, yeah, no, I thought you were going to say something.
No, I was just going to say, did you want to go to the quick commercial?
Yes. So we're going to take a quick commercial break and come right back. Everyone that's watching, stay tuned for some more questions.
Step up, prep up to help keep you free from the risk of HIV.
Descovy for PrEP, a once-daily prescription medicine that helps lower the chances of getting HIV through sex. It's not for everyone. Descovy for PrEP has not been studied in people assigned female at birth. Talk to your doctor to find out if it's right for you.
Descovy is another way to PrEP. Descovy does not prevent other sexually transmitted infections, so it's important to use safer sex practices and get tested regularly. You must be HIV negative to take Descovy for PrEP, so you need to get tested for HIV immediately before and at least every 3 months while taking it. If you think you were exposed to HIV or have flu-like symptoms, tell your doctor right away. They may check to confirm you are still HIV negative. Serious side effects can occur, including kidney problems and kidney failure. Rare life-threatening side effects include a buildup of lactic acid and liver problems. The most common side effect was diarrhea. Tell your doctor about all the medicines and supplements you take, or if you have kidney or liver problems, including hepatitis. If you have hepatitis B, do not stop taking Descovy without talking to your doctor. Ask your doctor about your risk of HIV and if Descovy for PrEP is right for you.
Get help paying for Descovy for PrEP. Learn more at stepupprepup.com.
All right, we are back. Shout out to one of our consistent sponsors, Gilead. They have been sponsoring our shows from before we even started doing shows. They've been supporting and making sure that we have all the tools and everything we need. So shout out to them. So the next question we have, Dante, you want to take the next question?
Sure.
We kind of touched on it before, but we can go back into it again. Well, J-Rock touched on it.
Yeah. So, like you said, J-Rock had already touched on this, but rest of you, have you suffered with PTSD from your time served?
You know what? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's crazy because I never thought that I did. when I got out of the military and eventually moved to DC, I remember getting a job working I was working as an EMT for an ambulance company, and I remember, well, actually, I'm sorry, it was in Pennsylvania, and I was working for an ambulance company. I remember they called us the death unit, me and this girl that I was working with, because we were always picking up like dead bodies from car accidents and dead bodies from different things because of me and her past working in the military. We just kind of got assigned to that being our job, and I was numb to it. And I always associated PTSD with being more traumatic versus, like having to be in a traumatic situation or in an action zone or something like that. So I never really attributed all the different levels of PTSD until the last couple of years when I started really having like anxiety issues. So now I'm, I guess you can say that as a result of PTSD from being in those situations of dealing with dead bodies and seeing dead people in front of you constantly, always back to back every day, that it started to wear on me in a way that I didn't really know how to process it, and it became an anxiety thing for me. So now, in retrospect, I've been seeing a therapist and stuff like that. But before, like I said, I went years without thinking. I just thought it was just being a black man and being gay in America. Like, I'm just going through it. Like, honestly, I didn't really attribute it to what I went through. So it took for me to mature as a man to realize what my anxiety was stemming from.
For me, I'm so used to having to leave. So when I get close to people, I kind of feel like, oh, okay, let me just go and shut this off now, because I know that at any moment I gotta go. And it's one of the things where when I really sit back and look like, okay, this is not normal. And even when talking to counselors and therapists, it's like this is an internal thing. And like, why do you feel this? I feel this way because at the end of the day, I go to a duty station. I'm used to going to a duty station. You work. And then I know, okay, I'm up for orders. Gotta go. I'm on to the next. And it's like I'm leaving these people that I just built this bond with. And now I'm off to the next to start all over again. Probably a city I've never been, a country I've never been. Like when I lived in Japan, it was like, okay, I don't know how to read this stuff. I don't know how to do this. And it's just like one of them things where it's like when I get close, I kind of shut down because it's like, okay, I know. Let me just shut this down now. That way I'm not hurt later because I know I got to go.
And even though I touched on Katrina and that was PTSD, now that I have got out, I'm going to tell y'all that probably haven't got out. Well, y'all got out, but from someone that's been in the Navy 21 straight years, I'm going through something right now that I didn't never think I would go through. And that is, I thought I knew. I'm glad that I was involved. I'm glad that I was involved to deal with civilians and dealing with, and then dealing with LGBT is really big too. That kind of helped me even in the Navy. But getting out and being a normal person is so difficult because people don't have any fucking rules. They don't have any regulations to live by. They don't have any honor, courage, and commitment to live by. So when the things that I'm used to doing that is the lifestyle and the culture of being in the military is not that out here. So I find a lot of people to be very selfish and rude and stuff like that. And it really gives me that's one of my anxieties, to be trying to the simple thing of just going out to trying to get a job and stuff like that and dealing with human resources. And the people that retired before me, they was like, you're going to quit. And I was like, why would I quit? They said, you're going to quit working because when you go in and you tell someone to do something and you come back tomorrow and it's not done, you're going to turn into a chief. They going to look at you like, who the fuck is you talking to? Because this ain't the military. You Cedric. We don't know Chief Johnson. You see what I'm saying? So that kind of stuff. When you get out, a lot of people don't know that. Even the putting on something to wear every day. I knew what I was going to wear every day for 21 years. I knew exactly what I was going to wear. I had about 6 uniforms to choose from. Now I got to go get shoes. Now I got to go get pants. I tell y'all all the time in Ballroom, I'm not no fashion person. I go to Walmart. I don't do all this kind of stuff. That stuff is annoying to just know that I have to put on something different every day, wake up, look a certain way, all this kind of, it's just a lot. That one, and I did have a shipmate that in 2002, when I was like around 19 or whatever, I had a shipmate actually pull his sidearm on me because he was very dangerous, going through depression, all that kind of stuff. Pull his fucking sidearm on me, put the gun to my head, a condition 1 loaded 9mm Beretta, put it to my head, and he pulled the fucking trigger, and it misfired. A 9mm Beretta cannot misfire. If the bullet is in the chamber, that means it's coming out. So that's one reason why I thank God to this day that I must have some type of purpose in life or something, because that really triggered me too. So I almost got kicked out because of that, because I tried to throw him in the Pacific Ocean. Who wouldn't? But dealing with that. So I got a lot of stuff. That's why when y'all be seeing me and stuff, and a lot of people like, oh, J-Rock is crazy. He doing a lot. It's a lot of stuff that happened to make me build like this wall and stuff. But then when people really find me out and start tapping in and stuff, they be like, J-Rock is a goddamn softy. That motherfucker is compassionate and all this kind of stuff, everything. But all that trauma from those incidents, and then because that gun incident brought back where I'm from. Some of us joined the Navy for many reasons. I was running from drugs. I was running from the gangs. I was running from the hood. I keep telling everybody this all the time about me. If you want to go see my mama, we got to go to the trap. Like, I'm from that South Dallas. You see what I'm saying? So to suppress everything you come from, to say, I'm not going to be like that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to get in that gang violence. I'm going to do something with my life. To go somewhere where you felt like you're good and your own shipmate do that, the first thing it did was spark. The first thing I was saying was, if I wanted to get shot, I could have stayed in South Dallas. So all of that. So that's why I said I deal with a lot of it and everything, but it never made me want to get out. I always looked at people as, how they say you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink? And I don't look at every sailor as that's the Navy. I look at it as, oh, we got a bad apple and we need to get him out. He got deported back to the Dominican Republic, though. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Okay. All right. Next question. How did you guys get your start in ballroom? Let's just change the question.
Yeah, because y'all trying to make me go through therapy sessions and stuff. It helps. I'm glad that people can.
So how did you start in ballroom?
I guess I can start. I was introduced to ballroom through my my son Raven, Icon Raven Deontay, as I know him. But because I had heard about ballroom, and I was a showgirl at the time. And so, the girls who did shows at the time, really outside of the girls in the South, really never had an interest in ballroom. Like, we don't have time to be judged by all these butch queens, other terms were used. But, it was just one of those things. Like, why would I do that? And so when he came into my life, it was just another side of the community that I was kind of exposed to. And so I attended my first ball. It was in 99 at the Centrum, and Eric Christian Bazaar was the commentator. And my son, he was like, Mama, you're going to be a part of our house. And I'm just like, child, I'm there with my boyfriend. I'm like, child, I don't even know what's going on here. Like, I'm just watching. And so they were like, realness, Femme Queen realness. And he was like, Mama, come on. And so that was the first category I walked. And so that was like my introduction to ballroom then. Yeah. So it was a long time ago.
I never forget. I got my start in 2009. I'll never forget. Paradox in Baltimore used to do third Saturdays, and I went to the little small side. I seen my best friend Boom Lavigne, legendary voguing, and I was like, oh my God, I want to do this. I'm literally on the sideline watching everybody vogue, and I'm mirroring everything I see them doing. I'm on the side just that all that little stuff, and he was like, you know what? Come on, you're gonna be my child, and I was like, okay. And literally threw me into we went to somebody's house, was voguing in the living room. Next thing I know, I was at a house meeting, And the next thing I know, I was walking Cayenne, Escada Ball in 2009, and everything happened like so fast. It was just like, okay, what do I do? What do I do? They was like, put on this tutu and just go out and do everything you did in practice. It was just like, everything. It happened so fast. It was just like, oh my God.
Gotcha.
And ever since then, it was just, I experienced the adrenaline rush and that high of everybody clapping and everybody yelling out star and all this other stuff. And it was like, oh my God, when is the next one? I want to do this again. And ever since then, it was just, it was go time.
I remember that ball. I was there. It's funny that you bring up Cayenne, because Cayenne, we were childhood friends, and Cayenne was one of the people that exposed me to ballroom. But I had just got stationed in Japan, and Kima, legendary Kima Malaj, shout out to Kima. He would always say, "You need to go to a ball. You ain't been in no ball. Oh, child, let me put you onto the ballroom scene." And he showed me, it was the New York Awards ball, the one where I believe Octavia came out and she got on the mic and she said that something about she loved the St. Laurent's, but she is now Mizrahi. It was like a major time in ballroom. And I think it was at the World or like WWF Center or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. And I remember watching it and saying, oh my God. And I watched like Sanaya, and I watched like Andre Mizrahi, Givenchy at the time. And I was so fascinated. And, you know, when I got back to the States, I went to my first ball, which was the New York Awards ball at, oh my God, it was near the pier or something. I don't know New York, but it was, you know, over there. And I just remember it was the ball that Christina was calling out Sanaya, and Sanaya was like, I'm not voguing in my Manolos. Manolo Blahnik Timberlands was like the big deal when I came out. And that was my first ball. And I remember seeing the Balenciagas, and I had knew Harold, you know, me and Harold were friends when I was in the military. And I just remember watching the Balenciagas and being in awe, like, wow, like I want to be with them. For some reason, the Balenciagas, I just was like, I want to be with them. I want to sit with them. I want to be with this crew. And, you know, that was my first ball, and that was my experience. And I just knew then, you know, that I was going to be a Balenciaga.
My first ballroom experience was a little bit different. I was in college, and my best friend at the time, which was this woman, Shawnee, J-Rock, Dante, y'all probably know, y'all know Shawnee. She walked face. It was her, I think, like second or third time, and she was trying to become a Ms. Rocky at the time. So, and I drove, and she didn't. So I was like, okay, I'll go with you. Cool. And it was the ball. It was the one where the Mrs. versus the Revlons at the mix, and where Tony Revlon burnt the hotel down. He got in a fight with
the legendary ball.
It was that ball.
Fire.
Yeah, it was that ball. So I was like,
welcome to ballroom.
Yeah, and I remember Kelly.
Let's go back to the PTSD question.
Right.
Yeah, I remember they got into it over. It was Jack and Tony arguing over Sex Siren, and that's what started. And I remember Kelly clotheslining a group of people. I was like, what the hell is this? Like, yeah, it was that ball. I remember Lily walked out with her gun like, let's go. I was like,
oh my God.
Crazy. Yeah, it was that ball. So I remember going back to college, like driving back, like, what did you get me into? We had drove like an hour and a half from A&T to Charlotte, and I was like, what is this? She was like, it's usually not like this. Like, let's try it again. So eventually I went back with her. You know, she got into Miza that night, and eventually I went back with her. They wanted me to walk Pretty Boy, and then they heard my voice, and I was like, you're too cunt. Like, and again, J-Rock and Dante, y'all kind of know how my body used to be, so they were like, you can walk Catboy. And I was like, okay, like, all right, cool. So that's how I got my start, and then eventually, you know, I progressed, but
Mine was it's weird. Mine was because of Katrina. That's crazy. Everybody left. Everybody had left New Orleans and dispersed. And when they came back, since me and Calvin was two of the people that stayed, and I was on the West Bank, my apartments and stuff didn't get touched. So a lot of people would come back into the city and come stay by me, right? So I'll never forget Country Ms. Rahi, and at the time, Arthur, my niece nephew at the time, came back, And they was like, look what we went to Atlanta, and we've been walking balls and we was doing this. And they brought this Serve the Kids DVD, whatever, and they popped it in and everything. It was like, they tried to chop Arthur. They tried to chop Arthur. They said that she was a real girl. And we kept telling this Butch Queen up and Dragon. And that was when I seen them saying, show me your knots. Show me your knots and stuff like that. It was a Maya. You see what I'm saying? And it was a Maya. So I was like, oh my God, no, they're not going to do that to my niece and stuff like that. Then finally they came back. They showed me where she had laid on the table. And they was like, this was for $1,000. She beat Sasha. She beat this. And she the new girl on the block. So I was like, what is this that y'all doing? Like, what is this? And then when I seen Vogue, I remember the Apollo. It was, they showed a ball where Andre was walking on his head and background saying, Andre, you don't have to prove a motherfucking thing. And I kept saying, from the Apollo. So that made me start, that was like 2005. I started like getting interested, but it wasn't in New Orleans. You see what I'm saying? So I was trying to follow it, Walk For Me Wednesdays. I was in Walk For Me Wednesdays and everything. I was in the tea, the shade room. I knew everything, but I couldn't go because I was in New Orleans Station. Then in 2006, I moved back to Texas. Then I was on recruiting duty. 2008 came. Shamar Collins Dupree, well, he's a garçon. He started having like these mini balls and stuff like that. Sasha was coming down, Whitney, all of them garçons was trying to get some stuff started in Dallas. And they was like, and I was like, this is that ballroom, this is the stuff they was talking about. And all my kids were in ballroom, like Tatyana said, they was all in ballroom. So I said, well, I'm gonna walk runway because I felt that this is a way for me to be gay as possible. Because you can be as gay as you want to be, and people think it's gay. Yes. So I got out, and they was like, runway? You too short to walk runway. I said, I'm gonna walk runway just like Tyra Banks, right? They was like, you too short to walk runway. So I got out there. I put my high boots on with my gold pants, no shirt in my blazer, with my glitter stuff on my feet. And I got out there and I started walking, and they kept pointing at me. I said, I don't know why they pointing at me, but I must be. Baby, I thought I was everything right. And finally, my kids was like, Lamel, he's an Ebony. You know he's an Ebony. And I said, what's that? What's that? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is that? So kids really was like, no, you're an Ebony. You're an Ebony. And then I kept walking, and then that's how I got my start in 2008, walking those mini balls and stuff. But I had already knew about it and I wanted to get into it. But the reason why I had stopped walking runway is when I seen what it really takes to walk runway. I said, see, I'm cheap. Everybody that knows me know I'm frugal. There is no way in the world to do all of this and to do over-effect and do all this money to possibly get to last battle. What the fuck I'm gonna do with this goddamn go? No, I can't do that. It was like getting up and drag to get out. No, I ain't doing it. So that's why I ended up switching my categories.
Oh yeah. I just thought about this too. That same ball. We were so new to ballroom, me and Sean at the time, that instead of the flyers to the ball started at 12. She was like, "But it's gonna be a lot of people there. We need to get there." We got there, I think, like 11:15. The ball did not start till 2. The bartender felt so bad for us. We got there before security got there. The bartender felt so bad for us. He was like, y'all can have a free drink because we were really the only 2 people in the whole building. Like, that's how new. We did not know. Again, ballroom has changed, so they kind of throw on time during the day, but this was 12 a.m. So we were like, we got to get there. We don't want to be in line. We want to make sure we make it in. That's how new we were to ballroom. Like,
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Next question. Dante.
If you weren't walking your current category, what category would you want to walk? Or would you
Baby, I would serve y'all in Femme Queen face all long, baby. If I was not in the Navy, I want to give me a piece of Femme Queen face so bad. That's my favorite category in ballroom. I don't even know what it is about that. It just sends me up, especially when the right girls at the right time wearing the right thing. especially when the categories come for baby. I want to be a femme queen, and I want to walk femme queen face.
You know what? I always wanted to walk, and this is a little before my time, but I always had an obsession with who's zooming who. I always wanted to walk that category. Kenya, you know, I used to tell you all the time, I always wanted to walk that category. And I don't think they'll ever bring it back, but it's just something in my mind. Like, I just feel like I would turn it for that category.
It was a turning a category back in the day. No shade. The crowd used to go up when people used
Like,
to
I just know how to work it. Like, I know what to do.
J-Rock,
I wish. I mean, what category would I walk? I'd probably walk body, but I would love to Vogue. I want to Vogue. I want to walk femme queen performance, like all of that, all of the ooey gooeys and all that tea. But yeah,
yes,
I just don't know how to. Yeah, I can't do no duck walks. I'm too old for all that. Yeah,
make sure you have some. Make sure you got your Epsom
walk, but I can't get down there. Exactly.
Make sure you got your Epsom salt, baby.
I used to do gymnastics, so I would want to walk New Way, probably. Not now again, because that was years ago, but I probably want to walk New Way.
Okay.
It's just hard for me because I walk so many goddamn categories to.
You can walk pants and everything. What's left?
I'm telling you, the Ebony's used to be like, you need to walk this category. And the founder of the Ebony was like, you do what you want to do, son. If that's what you want to walk, you walk that category. And I was like, he the founder, what y'all gonna say? So I did what I wanted to do. So I walked so many categories. But I know y'all gonna laugh. You know what I'm saying? I've been doing a little push-ups and stuff. So you know what I'm saying? I might have to go out there. I might have to come for Blair by January. Well, maybe June, maybe August of next year. Whatever. I'm gonna come out for sex siren, baby. Y'all gonna see.
Just don't wait on you, Jen. Just don't wait.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. And is you want it?
No, I was gonna say this is our final question.
Yeah, this is our last question, y'all. So, how do you bring your military experience to ballroom?
I was thinking about this question when I read it.
It had me like, ooh. I will say for my house, I would say structure. One thing I think everybody in the military can say, the military is going to give you structure. So even if it's something simple as a house meeting or organizing, hey, look, we're gonna meet at this time. I need y'all in here. I'm gonna take muster. I know y'all don't know what that means, but I'm taking attendance so I can tell Shannon, these people were not here. It's just basically giving that piece of structure, like where it's kind of like keeping everything on track and just being the leader. Like, you know, sometimes a lot of people don't step up. And in the military, it's like, we don't have a choice. Like, I need somebody to do this. I got it. So it's like one of the things when my house step up, like, we need somebody to this, or we need that. I got it. Or where do you need me? I'm easily accessible. I'm willing to put myself any situation or anywhere where you need me so that we all can accomplish this. So for me, it's just that structure part and it's that leadership.
I want to say leadership as well.
Yeah.
Just in general, even if you don't have a leadership position necessarily, I think being in the military, you kind of do leadership for the most part. Like, I know a lot of people, again, I'm sure it's the same for everybody on the panel, well, a lot of people will come to you even, I guess they just know, like, you have that, again, structure, so they kind of know, like, hey, I could come talk to you and ask you a question. I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm trying to guide you in the right direction, because, again, like Jay Rock said earlier, being in the military, you do have a basic, like, core of, hey, I want to do right, I want to help people out. So they know a lot of times they can come talk to you. Me personally, again, because I want to buy in sex science, being in the military has been a benefit. You know, I work out constantly in the Army. I wake up at 5 a.m. on this pretty much every day, you know, and I do PT. So,
yeah, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Dabrian.
I was just going to say, I always think of like the core values, the Air Force core values, and one of them being excellence in all you do. And I apply that to being a leader out here on the West Coast for the Balenciagas. I always tell them, like, you know, not just always go out there and do your best, but feel like you're doing your best, feel it and feel good about it. Even if you're not going to walk a ball, you're just going to show up at a ball. Look good, like look the part, like, you know what I mean? So for me, applying excellence in all you do is making sure no matter what you apply yourself to, if your name is attached to it, then make sure that it's good and make sure it's at the level that we, you know, we maintain here. So that's really been it for me. Other than that, just leading by example. You know, I try to always be on time, and I always joke about this when I'm talking to other house members. I got to show up early, or then I can't talk shit. You know what I'm saying? So I'm always going to make sure that I'm leading by example, and that I'm able to stand firm in where I am and be there and be on time. So if I want to, sorry, my dog is barking. But if I want to have something to say, that I can say it and mean it and stand by it, and not feel like, damn, I'm not leading by example. I'm just not being the example. I'm just being ignorant and talking shit. So I think that really just, it's a pride thing.
Yeah, certainly those leadership kind of characteristics, but then also being conscious and cognizant. Like, it's easy for us to say, let's set it off. Let's go ahead. Let's do this thing. But there's direct effects to that. And these are people who are under my charge. And so bringing that to the forefront, being conscious and cognizant of the decisions that I make and how those are impacting of every person, like right down to our newest member. But then just like some of those organizational characteristics that I have found, like coming in and, you know, starting websites, foundations, and all of those kind of, you know, foundational things that help me to be a better leader. Like, I can't say, okay, we have a problem with X, Y, and Z, but I have not put in the work to say, this is how we're going to change that. And this is how we'll mitigate those things. So a lot of those kind of skills. And I know, because even I wanted to go back to what J-Rock was talking about with kind of getting out of the military, making that transition. And even PTSD is not something, it's easy for us to discover these things when you're out of service. When you're in service, everything is so regimented, and you become used to all of that pomp and circumstance and all of those things being so regimented and so structured that a lot of veterans organizations are now working to figure out and help, you know, service members kind of understand their transferable skills, how this applies to real world, and, you know, getting used to civilian life. Like J-Rex said, most of us who are in the military immediately coming home is like, these people are weird. They just do what they want to do, know what they want. And then being like going from the military to an HR role, hearing some of the things that people complained about. And I'm just like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's right. Not even something that we talk about, you know, like getting used to.
You get your ass to work.
Okay.
Yes, getting used to understanding hierarchy and following the chain of command. Like, when people don't do that, it sends me into a thing like, wait a minute. And honestly, it has put me sometimes in a position where I have to check myself, because I'm like, why are you talking to me? You know, like, have you talked to, and just like, wait a minute, this is an open door policy, and these are feeling people, like, come on in, like, you know. But yeah, no, go ahead, Dabrian.
No, I was just gonna say that what you said.
A lot of those
chain of command thing.
For me. Yeah, it's hard to let go of a lot of those characteristics, and I found myself sometimes getting in spaces where I'm like, I gotta let that go. Because having those expectations of the military, like, you know, most times what to expect of people and even your day, unless you're in like an active combat kind of situation. But it's just like, and even like playing into my PTSD, whenever I enter into a ball or a space where there are a lot of people, I'm immediately analyzing the exits and entryways, and, you know, just all of those things that are hard for me. Like, that contributes to my PTSD. Like, I gotta let that go. Like, I'm just here, like, but trusting. So yeah, a lot of those principles that have helped me to be and shaped me to be a better leader and to lead by, like you all have said, by example, and being a transformational leader, and helping people to understand why it is that the decisions that I'm making and why they're for your good. So yeah.
I know mine's has been both. Mine's has been both ways. It's so weird because mine's been both ways. Now, the military, how have the military helped with ballroom? One thing you cannot do to somebody in the military is that chain of command thing really gets under our skin. If you go ask Uncle Mike something, the first thing I'm gonna say is, did you talk to your house? Did you talk to your chapter parent? Why did you skip over your chapter parent? Why don't they know about that? They be like, J-Rock, why are you so aggressive? because you're not giving. Y'all are in place for a reason. If you're gonna go, Mike, we don't need no mothers and fathers. That's stupid. And then they'd be like, calm down, this ain't the military. But it's still a structured environment, though. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people, I had to back up, because I realized that everybody's not in the military. So that part, structure, like they mentioned already, the most important concept to being a good leader is being a good follower also. Us being in the military, we know how to follow. We know if Uncle Mike needs something from J-Rock, let's go. What you need? How is this going to benefit the house? How is this going to, you see what I'm saying? I'm there. I'm dependable, and I love it. I take pride in being somebody that you can depend on, someone that I can show initiative. I take pride in that. The confidant. They know that we have lived our life with a certain moral to a lot of these kids come to us and they know, like with me, I always tell them, Privacy Act of 1974, I would not disclose information to no one without their permission. I say that all the time to them because they know whatever it is, whether it's status, whether it's their homeless issues, whether it's relationships, whether it's business, they know if they came to J-Rock, it's going to be right there. And he's going to get the resources to help them without spreading. I'm not going to be no typical, F word. This is a person. This person needs help. As in with recruiting, and I'm just going to be 100% honest with y'all, I never understood how somebody can graduate from high school, get a diploma, never been to jail, but living from floor to floor, hotel to hotel. That is a hard life. You would be perfect in the middle if you can survive like that. I have put so many people in the military when I explain that concept. I'm like, you literally going from hotel to, I am not knocking anything you do, but I'm saying, why are you choosing to live that hard life when the money dry up? Now you're begging. Now you could have a first and a 15th, so putting them in that. Vice versa, the gay community helped me learn about millennials, their behavior, the way that they act. Like that helped me in the military because now I realize that the people that are now coming in, I'm leading these people in ballroom and they like, you can't talk to me like that, J-Rock. Then I get in the military and they be like, Chief, I don't like the way you said that. And you be like, hey, what's wrong with these kids? So ballroom helped me to kind of throttle back and ask that question. So what do you think about that? What do you feel? How do you feel? And it used to irk me when I first did it, but now I do it a lot. How do you feel? What are some of your suggestions about what we said? I come from the military where Johnson, do this, don't ask me no questions, get it done. You know what I'm saying? But the new kids, you have to explain to them, make them feel empowered, make them know all this kind of stuff. So ballroom taught me that. And the outstanding volunteer service, I was trying to make Chief. And Rio can tell you this. Chief is a pinnacle. That is a pinnacle rank. People go E6, do 20 years and get out. To make Chief in the U.S. Navy, E7 in the U.S. Navy is a big thing. I could not get it because I was missing certain things. And one year they said, you need an outstanding volunteer service medal. That'll throw your award points over the top if you get that. Then I said, wait a minute. I'm at United Black Element, M Society, the Brotherhood. I'm doing all this stuff with ballroom, like helping people, resources. I went right to M Society Legacy Group in Houston. I said, how many hours do I come up here and set up these programs and all that stuff? They said, you up here every week. I said, how many hours is that? Weekend? I said, make them up. And they gave me that letter. I took it to the military. They gave me my medal. And that same year, they called my name. So the stuff that I did in ballroom helped me become a chief, something that a lot of people don't even make. So as I said, it worked both ways for me. That's why I always tell people ballroom is what you make it. You see what I'm saying? It's what you make it. I benefited off ballroom. Some people be like, I don't benefit off of that. I did, and I'm glad I did.
Okay, awesome.
Same thing with the military too. Military is what you make it as well.
That's right.
And the military is what you make it.
Correct.
Well, this has been so insightful. I mean, it's been so informative. again, I want to thank y'all for taking the time to sit with us today and talk about you all's experiences in the military as well as in ballroom. And thank you all for your service. Those who are still serving, thank you for continuing to serve.
Thank you all the viewers that was watching and chiming in. Dabrian, you got to talk to your aunt about ballroom. She asked.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You know what? She has all my trophies. My aunt has all my trophies. I was moving to LA. I was going to throw them away. It was like 40 something trophies, and she was like, "I'll take them." She has all my trophies.
That's you. Don't throw your trophies away.
I ain't got no space for them. I know what I did.
Tell Aunt Sherry we love her.
Yes.
She was here to the end.
He was here all the way to the end.
Yeah. She talked me into joining the Air Force. I was about to go into the Army, and she said, "Don't do that." So
Yeah.
She knows me. Nothing wrong with the Army, but I don't do a whole lot of extras, and she knew where I was supposed to be.
I tried to do the Air Force, they wouldn't let me, so I get it.
Yeah.
Well, there's two smart people on here.
Go ahead, baby.
Smart and lazy. You know we lazy.
Thank you all again for spending the evening with us, sharing your thoughts and everything. Our hope is that these messages will like hit someone that's either interested in getting in the military, that's in ballroom, or is in ballroom and the military and trying to figure out how to like navigate that. I hope that they're able to get something from this conversation. So again, thank you all again, and I keep on saying it. Thank you all for your service. Thank you for what you have done, and you're continuing to do. Truly, we appreciate it. If you all are in the DC area, we do have a brunch coming up next week. So please check it out. It is the
Brunch and Babes.
Brunch and Babes, an iconic drag brunch in remembrance of transgender remembrance and mental health awareness. And we're bringing up Mariah Paris Balenciaga, Raquel Balenciaga, Stasha Garçon, our local queens, Christina Kelly, and Shaquita Lee. And it's going to be, we're going to have DC Mother Angel Garçon and legendary runway Asia Balenciaga as our bottle girls. It's going to be a real fun time. We have 2 shows. You could hit one of us up if you want links to go. You can scan that barcode right there. It's going to also play in the outro. And yeah, again, thank you all. Dante, anything else before we close out?
No, I think you said it all. You said me the trouble. So it's just one last time. Thank y'all again. Hope to see you all very soon. Tati, you coming to Baltimore next week or no? Oh
no.
No.
Yeah, because I forgot that I had accepted to be the keynote for a Trans Day of Remembrance event in Atlanta. So I have to let my Molly know that I will not be able to go.
Got you. Didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Yeah, I was judging. I don't know why everybody thinking like I'm done. Like
no, I knew you were judging. I remember when they was announcing the judges, and I was like, oh, she's gonna be here next week.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm gonna see.
Well, to all the viewers, if you want to lead the military, the most powerful military in the world by day, and shimmy into a dip at night like Shawam, you can do it.
Yes, you can, honey.
God. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Night,
everyone.
Let's go.